All right, hello everybody. I hope everyone's doing well today. So today I'm going to be doing another passage or another topic within this book called The Female Brain. So it's going to be a little bit different today, just because there's going to be a bit more information that I'm going to be sharing, and I'm going to do a little bit more commentary because I'm going to do three different passages and make some commentary, a dab it along the way, because all of that information is going to come back together when I show the mapping that I have for all the information at the end. So we're going to go ahead and get started here, because I'm going to make everything into different sections just because this conversation is going to be a little longer than the last video. So I'll go ahead and get started. So the first passage out of three is going to be on page 8 inside of the book. With this here, it's going to say the female brain has tremendous unique aptitudes, outstanding verbal agility, the ability to connect deeply in friendship, a nearly psychic capacity to read faces and tone of voice for emotions and states of mind, and the ability to diffuse conflict. All of this is hardwired into the brains of women. These are the talents women are born with that many men, frankly, are not. Men are born with other talents shaped by their own hormonal reality, but that's the subject of another book. Okay. So just want to keep a tab on this, that these are innate abilities that women do have, just before we go ahead and continue. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go to the second passage in the book. And this is going to be on page 15 and 16 in the book. So all right, so it says, baby girls are born interested in emotional expression. They take meaning about themselves from a look, a touch, every reaction from the people they come into contact with. From these cues, they discover whether they are worthy, lovable, or annoying. But take away the signpost that an expressive face provides, and you've taken away the female brain's main touchstone for reality. Okay. So these are the gate things, or the primary things, the way women innately connect with the external world, with basically other people, how they socialize, what tells them the social cues, things like that. All of that is tied into this. Okay, go ahead and continue. Watch a little girl as she approaches a mine, or mine. She'll try with everything she has to elicit an expression. Little girls do not tolerate flat faces. They interpret an emotionless face that's turned towards them as a signal that they are not doing something right. Like dogs chasing frisbees, little girls will go after the face until they get a response. The girls will think that if they do it just right, they'll get the reaction they expect, which means, like, basically women need constant something physical, some type of emotional physical reaction. If anything is too like monotoned, too rigid, things like that, it basically sends like an error in their brains of, like, I don't know how he thinks, because they're social creatures. Okay. Now with this understanding of the flat faces and monotone, this is what leads the author to say this next part, because I think sometimes guys don't grasp this concept, and sometimes women don't want to admit this. We can observe this is throughout high school and our young 20s. Is going to say it's the same kind of instinct that keeps a grown woman going after a narcissistic or otherwise emotionally unavailable man. If I do it just right, he'll love me. And this is why sometimes, for example, women will be in these like situations, like she'll be nice, she'll be kind and everything, right? She's A+ student, A B student, whatever the case is, right? But for some reason, we still see that these kind-hearted women are still gravitating towards these narcissistic, and they chase these, or they're somehow always with these emotionally unavailable guys. And then they go on and say, after years and years with these guys, that they were traumatized by these guys when in their actual reality was that they had a natural gravitation towards these guys, got hurt by these guys, and then that's how they end up on the internet and say, well, what about the guys that traumatized us and blah blah blah, all of that stuff, right? A lot of women don't want to admit this, unfortunately, that there's a natural gravitation. Even in high school, we've seen this, that they're somehow always gravitating towards narcissists and dudes that they don't show up to class, they're lazy or whatever the case may be, emotionally just unstable. She finds this somehow because the guys that I describe, because it's gonna be a long ass video. The guys who that are emotionally stable, they have no problem expressing their emotions and things like that. Women, which we'll get to later, they have this innate thing of, I need any guy who doesn't show emotional expression and give me like where they stand or where I stand. That's probably the guy I should be gravitating towards naturally. That's what they do for these reasons. And because of that, we have to create systems, which we'll get to later. Okay. So you can imagine then the negative impact on a little girl's developing sense of self, or the unresponsive, flat face of a depressed mother, or even one that's had too many Botox injections. The lack of facial expression is very confusing to a girl, and she may come to believe, because this thing, I'm trying to get this over here, because she can't get the expected reaction to a plea for attention or a gesture of affection, that her mother doesn't really like her. She will eventually turn her efforts to faces that are more responsive. Okay, so guys, as I'm reading this, you have to grasp that, like, you remember those times when you might be in high school and you had that one girl or whatnot, and she took your phone away or something like that, right? She took something you might have held valuable, right? And she took it away and tried to get you to hold her, hug her, whatever the case may be, something like that, right? So this is how they're communicating with the external world, right? So when she sees that a guy is not super responsive, she's going to keep nudging at him, not because she's trying to see if he's like mentally stable or, he can control himself. It's nothing like that. The way women see these types of narcissistic, emotionally unavailable dudes and why they naturally have a gravitation is because these guys are like, to how you would tell a child, this box is the no touch this box. It's in the, caution X, the tape, the caution tape, right? Everything's stitched up. And there's a lot of, hazardous stuff inside of this box. The woman doesn't necessarily care that there's hazardous stuff inside of the box. She cares that because this box looks dangerous and she's not able to recognize these emotional, like this lack of emotions out of this guy. So she has this natural gravitation to try to get this guy to eventually open up. And we come to learn later on that these guys, narcissistic and unemotionally available, end up being the guys who damage her even more. But she keeps going back to this because she wants this emotional validation so badly. And that's the one thing that unfortunately many women don't want to admit happens to them. But that is natural. Yes, you have to accept the reality that women have a natural gravitation towards narcissistic, emotionally available, asshole, arrogant guys. That's just the way it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump over to the third passage. Okay, so it's gonna be a little bit longer, unfortunately, not too long. Okay, so it says, indeed, the hypothesis relationship between male symmetry and female orgasm proved to be true. Reports provided by the women and their lovers indicated those whose partners were the most symmetrical enjoyed a significantly higher frequency of orgasms during sexual intercourse than those with less symmetrical mates. Okay, so this is what I think, what's they call that red pill manosphere shit. That's what they talk about. The look maxing, I think that's what they call it. Handsome men know this firsthand. Studies show that symmetrical men have the shortest courtships before having sexual intercourse with women they date, right? Which is very important to remember. It's very important. They also invest the least time and money on their dates. And these handsome guys cheat on their mates more. Oh my gosh. Taking notes. I'm gonna switch it over. Give me 1 second. Because this stuff is nuts. Excuse me. So often, what did I say? And these handsome guys cheat on their mates more often than do guys with less well-balanced bodies. This is not oh my gosh. Often they do often than do guys with less well-balanced bodies. This is not what we women would like to believe. Instead, we have the bonding hypothesis, which says that women with kindness, caring mates will have the most orgasms. But the reality is that men may just come in two different categories. There are the ones for hot sex and the ones for safety. Okay. This is going to come into later in the play of dopamine and serotonin. So women are basically putting dudes into categories naturally, like subconsciously. That's what she's trying to say here. So there are the ones for hot sex and the ones for safety, comfort, and child rearing. Women are constantly longing for both wrapped into one package, but sadly, science shows that this may be a wishful thinking, which it is. But this is honestly what most women psyche is trying to achieve, unfortunately. They don't realize that it's actually an illusion of their ego. That's why she's saying that there's these two categories, which is true. So this is why, for example, you see safety dude, which is husband, he's caring, blah blah blah, but somehow the dude who probably doesn't have a car, blah blah blah, all that nasty, like basically just nothing going for him, right? But he just has the looks, right? So she'll leave this guy, risk all of this safety for this guy, for this hot sex. Basically, women put guys into different categories subconsciously. Yes, women can overcome that, but we're talking about the vast majority.